good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of On Point for today, the 26th day of April 2024. And of course, in your company this afternoon is Alexis Jeffers. I'm the host of this program, and it is always a pleasure being here. And today is no exception. I want to start off this afternoon by, first of all, welcoming all those who are listening to this program, viewing this program, because of course Von Radio goes far and wide on all of the different platforms out there, whether through the airwaves, as they've done for over 30 plus years, through Facebook, through YouTube and other platforms which have been engaged in recent times. I say welcome to you. And of course, here on the island of Nevis, I want to welcome all of our listeners. And we normally start at the bottom of Zion Hill. That is where St. James starts, and come all the way through the entire constituency of St. James. And indeed, that covers Butler's Brick Hill all the way up to Fountain, down to Newcastle and into St. Thomas Parish. Of course, we also move into the parish of St. Paul, and then St. John's, and over to St. George Parish, and then of course we end up all the way back down there at the bottom of Zion Hill, and all of the areas in between, and all of those communities that are listening Von Radio at this time. Of course, we do have listeners over on St. Kitts. I say good afternoon to all of our listeners there on the island of St. Kitts, which make up the other half of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Indeed, they are listeners, and we do have nationals down there in St. Eustatius, or we say Statia for short, and Sabre, French and Dutch St. Martin. I skip over St. Bart's, but we do have some nationals there as well. About French and Dutch St. Martin, sorry. Have family members, we have friends down there, colleagues, those who would have left, parishes such as St. James and to some extent St. Thomas Parish, and have gone down to St. Martin. Have taken up residence there and been living there for some time. I say welcome to you. Of course, also we have persons in the British Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and indeed, you see, I'm heading north, but there are persons who call me and tell me that, well, Von Radio is listened to down in Barbados too, Barbados, Grenada, Dominica, St. Lucia, all the way down south to Trinidad. We have nationals down there, and of course there are persons from St. Kitts and Nevis who are down in Guyana, whether they are listening at this point in time. If you are, I say welcome. If you will view this program at a later date or later time, I say thanks for doing so. Indeed, up in the United States, North America, from the eastern seaboard all the way into the heartland of America and over to California, and indeed Canada. We do have quite a large following there in Canada, all up and down Canada, of course, and not forgetting the folks over there in Europe, more particularly those folks who are in the United Kingdom. We do have a large gathering there, a large number of persons from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis who live in the United Kingdom, and also France and Germany, Denmark, all those areas in Europe where you'll think that we don't have nationals there. And so I welcome them, because of course they from time to time will tune into all of the different radio stations, but more so Von Radio, to get some of the information that is coming out of their beloved country. And as such, that is why we say it is always good to disseminate clean, wholesome, truthful information. And that's what we do here at Von Radio. And that is why I've chosen to come here with this program as well, because where else can you do so? Other than on a station that has this tagline, only the best will do. It's the best we're presenting to the general public here, regionally and abroad. Of course, we have persons who are from the Federation over there in Asia as well too. They're now seeing, it's in the morning there, just after 1 in the morning. I say good morning to you if you're listening. So I've covered the entire globe, and you have to do that because it is an important thing to do, because persons take the time out. People's time is precious these days, and of course if they take the time to listen and to view, then of course you have to acknowledge the folks who do that. And then the listenership is what really motivates the management to do more and to stay on air in order to ensure that they are providing information moving forward. Support the station as well. That is another thing, because of course the electricity has to be paid for, water has to be paid for, everything has to be paid for around here. Not forgetting the workers who turn up here every day to make sure that the quality of programming is consistent with the tagline of the station, and also to make sure that they themselves make a living, because they don't work for free. So the support is good, and that is why we all continue to support this great radio station, because of the impact that it has had in the community here in Nevis, throughout the Federation, and throughout the world. Because you can always flash your mind back to many years when this station was the lone station standing during the tumultuous times of hurricanes of the past. When others have gone down, Von Radio was a beacon of light, and that sound that kept us comfortable and provided us with that comfort, I should say, throughout those tumultuous times. So Von Radio, and I know I am saying so this afternoon, I've said it for years, that Von Radio is the station of choice in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Well, I hope they'll give me something for that plug, but anyway, let's move on. Yes, at this time usually we normally acknowledge those families that are grieving here in the island of Nevis, or in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Of course, I want to apologize at this point in time as well for my absence last week. Indeed, we went to the St. Thomas Anglican Church to pay our last respects and stand in solidarity with the family of our friend who have departed, Mr. Sean Henville. He was buried last Friday, and as such I was unable to be here, but I wanted to be there as well, because he was a former classmate, even though he was just for 1 year over there at the sixth form. Well, over the years we would have interacted, of course. So he was a colleague, a friend, former classmate, all of that. And so I had to be there, and we had to be there in our numbers, and it was a beautiful homegoing service. I certainly was proud of the turnout in terms of the persons who would have came. And the Premier said something which was profound. He said that how a person live their life, the homegoing service that they get, generally speaking, is indicative of the way they would have lived their life. And I suppose I can safely say that Sean would have lived an exemplary life, a decent life. And so persons from near and far, far and wide, all over the world would have come to pay their final respect on that day. And so I would just wrap up that by saying, may his soul continue to rest in peace. And of course the legacy that he would have left is one that we'll always remember in terms of his exploit in the aviation industry. He was the second pilot who would have gotten to that particular level out of the island of Nevis. Of course, I would have met my good friend Barney Esdale. He came down for the funeral, and it was good to see him. Barney is not aging one bit. He's the same old person. He looks the same way all the time, and he has certainly lived a very good life, of course, and have flown the flag of St. Kitts and Nevis, and more so carried the name of Nevis on his shoulders over the years, along with those 4 bars on his shoulders. That is what he would have done for the island of Nevis, and we appreciate that, and we appreciate all of the exploits of Sean Henville as well. We do have other pilots from Nevis, and of course they would continue to ply their trade and continue to make us proud. Also earlier this week we went down to the St. Paul's Anglican Church and paid our last respects to Mama Lou, Lucina, what is Lucina's last name? Sometimes we get a little mental block, but Lucina Dorr, yes, Lucina Dorr. But listen, forgive me, because from the time I got to know Mama Lou, that is the only name I knew her as, Mama Lou. And I have known Mama Lou now for, I believe, more than 30 years. Yeah? So if you know someone as Mama Lou or any other name over those 30 years or more, sometimes you forget the surname. But anyway, Mama Lou is someone when I got close to the CCM party way back in 1990, thereabout, or just before the 1990s. The party was formed in 1987, thereabout 86, 87, And of course, I got closer to the party when I realized that is the party of choice on the island of Nevis. After all of the turmoil we would have gone through with the other party there, what's it called, NRP, you know, CCM, and that blue was what I was more comfortable embracing. And Mamalou was around at that time, and you got to know Mamalou even more when I went abroad and came back and then got onto the party's executive. And, you know, Mamalou was always in front. Every public meeting, she was always up front in her blue t-shirt and ringing her bell, waving a flag, whatever the case might be. She was indeed a stalwart of the CCM party. And indeed, she would have left such a mark on myself on this island, so that we cannot forget good old Mama Lou. Those who normally would go down to the watering hole down there just across from the base would remember her in that particular context, but I remember her through the politics, and the politics is something that was most important to all of us, because we are all in this fight together, trying to ensure that we keep this country, or this island, sorry, moving in the right direction. And she was always a huge advocate for decency and doing the right thing as a political party, and also as politicians and representatives of the party and the people of Nevis. And that is why I will always hold Mamalou dear to my heart, because she was someone who embodied everything that is good here on the island of Nevis. And of course, her children, Jeffrey and Zumbai, and there's the other chap there, the other son. He's not on the island now. I think he's down in the Virgin Islands. And all of the other grandchildren who I know I want to again express my sympathies. And I did what I just did because I didn't get a chance to do so last week Friday prior to the funeral, of course. But we went down there, and that funeral was on Tuesday afternoon. Very well attended, and it certainly was one that is a service that was befitting of Mama Lou and her contribution. His singing was very good, and everything went down nicely down there. So may her soul continue to rest in peace as well, both Mama Lou and Sean. And of course, anyone else who are in the bereaved column this afternoon, I want to express my profound sympathies to you. And just keep this in mind, that the Lord never gives us more than we can bear. But of course, there is a time to be born, a time to live, and a time to die. And when that stage comes, it is one that we cannot prevent or cannot stop. But we just have to condition our minds and understand that these are the realities of life, and these are the stages we have to go through, you know, as we continue on along life's journey. In terms of what we are celebrating here on the island of Nevis, birthdays are something that persons will celebrate, you know, from time to time. And from time to time we have different names of persons who are celebrating. I am sure many persons out there celebrating today. I must admit I don't have a list of those names, but I know for sure I have one particular person, very good friend of mine, Mrs. Carol Rollins, is celebrating today. Carol, wherever you are, I understand you're not in Nevis at this point in time, but that's okay. I've already sent you a text to wish you happy birthday. I am now verbally putting it out there, so anyone who are hearing me at this time who may want to send you a text as well to bring some more enjoyment to your day, I say go ahead and do it. But today is Carol's birthday. Carol Rollins, Mrs. Carol Rollins, or Carol Gem. I think that's what she calls herself, or she would want to be referred to when she's on Facebook and that type of thing. But she's celebrating today, and of course, wherever she is, I know Carol is having a wonderful time. Carol, I pray that you'll live to see many, many more years of celebration. And when I say that, I mean that, because persons like you are persons who have done your best to live a charmed life here on the island of Nevis, a decent life, and people like you who would be the example that many would want to look up to, as someone who carries herself well and does well for herself and her family. So I want you to have a wonderful day celebrating. And of course, it doesn't always end at 12 o'clock tonight. You can continue until the month is done. The month of April belongs to you. And have a wonderful birthday. Okay. Well, as I came here this afternoon, sorry, I'm sorry about that. As I came here this afternoon, I was looking at the weather, and it was hot. It is hot, and I can see Saddle Hill is very clear, picturesque. Navy Peak have a little, a little cloud on top of it there right now, but outside is hot, 90 degrees thereabout. And of course, last week and over the last week and a half thereabout, we have been getting some rain. And so the weather changes on us at a moment's notice. So when someone tells you that you change like the weather, well, that is what I'm talking about. Last week we had rain. We had some rain up to last night, I believe, a little drizzle, a little passing shower. And now it's hot outside. And I'm sure over the next couple of days we may see some rain, or we may see a different weather pattern. So when somebody tells you you change like the weather, well, we know what that means. You change up quickly and without notice, But whatever the weather is, I want you to enjoy. And most of all, though, in this hot weather, just make sure you stay hydrated. You can become dehydrated easily, but stay hydrated. Drink your fluid, more so water, and so that you'll be comfortable in these hot environment. But this is just typical for Nevis, really, and it's a beautiful day nonetheless, and people are going about their business here on the island of Nevis, which is good. So we get the weather conditions that we have to deal with on a daily basis, and we just have to adjust accordingly. Okay, moving right along. On Monday of this week, on the 22nd of April, the CCM team, meaning, when I say the CCM team, I'm talking about the cabinet of the Nevis Island Administration that is being managed by the Concerned Citizens Movement. All of the ministers, along with the cabinet secretary and myself, would have gone up to the Rams complex, and we would have, filed our annual statement of assets and liabilities with the Integrity in Public Life Commission right up there at the Rams complex. So at 9 a.m. we went there, and we did so, the 22nd of April. And I want to ask you to note that date. On that same day, the 22nd of April, we got on the boat and we went over to St. Kitts. Left here at about 10:30, and we got down to the Delil Walwyn building down there on Liverpool Row in Basse-Terre, and we filed our statement of assets and liabilities there with the Integrity Commission over on St. Kitts. All of the ministers from the cabinet, along with the cabinet secretary, and then myself, of course, yes, being a member of the federal parliament, would have gone across to St. Kitts and filed our statements there. And the reason why I say that is because we could have waited until the 30th. When is the 30th? The 30th is next week sometime. I believe Sunday is the 28th, 29th, and then the 30th, next Tuesday. Yeah. So we could have waited until next Tuesday, of course, and then go and do what we would have done back on the 22nd, but we said no. We set a deadline among ourselves, and we said it is important to lead from the front. It is important to set the standard high when it comes to these submissions, so that at least when we speak, and we speak of good governance, and when we speak of public life, integrity in public life, when we speak of growing this island in terms of making sure that we're doing the right thing to ensure that there's no corruption, we're not accused of it. Well, we can be accused of many things, yeah, but the bottom line is to make sure when you're accused of something, it is not true. And that is why I am so proud of the CCM team, the CCM party, and what it stands for. So we decided we are not waiting until the 30th of April. That is the deadline. We said on the 22nd, let us put our documents together, get them notarized, get them packaged, get up to Rams, get on the boat, get down to St. Kitts. All in one day we filed all of our statements. And I think I'll just give the entire team a round of applause for conforming to the commitment that we made, because we are a transparent government. We are open to scrutiny, of course, And with all that has been said over the years, and in recent times as well, about this integrity in public life ordinance, and what has been done to amend it to ensure that we conform accordingly to those rules, I applaud the CCM government for doing so. While I'm at that, let me congratulate Mrs. Diana Claxton Whitaker. She is now the new appointee to the Integrity Commission, along with Mr. Sidney Newton, and of course the chairperson is Mr. Ricardo Keynes. They now make up the Integrity in Public Life Commission here on the island of Nevis, so it's properly constituted. You know, over the last couple of weeks, months, we have had a tremendous amount of debate about the integrity in public life, and to be honest with you, I listened and I figured that there's no need to get into a public back and forth over things that can be fixed and would have been fixed and was fixed by the Premier and his team in terms of this. Back in 2022, December 12th, we had an election, of course. The CCM won 3 seats, the NRP won 2 seats. You would have thought that a party that would have won 2 seats would have been able to organize themselves as an opposition and determine who would be the leader of the opposition. And of course, at the end of it all, we had months of noise here on the island of Nevis. Back and forth, all kind of letter being written, all sorts of public statements being made by those in the opposition. So they had confusion, and I want the people of Nevis to understand that that is symbolic and is emblematic of what would have happened in government if, for example, the NRP was to assume governance on the island of Nevis. Because they couldn't decide on a leader of the opposition, they couldn't decide on a senator, they couldn't decide even in the House when they go there, they couldn't decide who would sit in which seat. I want if people understand what I'm saying. Because there is a seat for the leader of the opposition, there's a seat for everyone else. So the both of them were trying to figure out who would sit in that seat. So that's where the confusion was. And I'll tell you further, you know, there was going to be confusion if they were to get into government as to who gets whatever portfolio. Yes, there was confusion involved there as well too, because it was circulating who would have been this and that and whatever portfolio they would have held. And of course, when you look at it, you understood there was going to be confusion. So the people of Nevis, yes, only the people of St. James would have fallen for whatever isms and schisms and scams that were run over there. But they would deal with that accordingly, I suppose. But the other constituencies, for example, St. Paul's, St. John's, and St. George's, understood the assignment. They understood what was to be done, and they did what they had to do to avoid the confusion that would have ensued. But of course, the CCM is still in government, yes, and we have had a calm approach to governance here on the island of Nevis as a result. So, here's what they did. They went about the island of Nevis and blaming the CCM for everything. Mark you, they got confusion in their party, you know, and in and among themselves. And they're blaming the CCM for the confusion in the NRP party. Well, the Premier would have done the right thing. The Premier has a mandate to fulfill. His job is to lead. And as leaders, you make decisions. If you cannot make decisions as a leader, then you cannot be a leader. How are you going to be a leader if you cannot make decisions? So you make the decisions to move beyond the impasse that was there, that was created by the NRP themselves. So the amendment was made, whereby the Premier will consult members of the opposition in terms of the name or the person who was selected. Consult members of the opposition for their whether input or to let them know, well, this is the person who have been selected. From what I understand, Mrs. Cleone Stapleton Simmons would have responded. I don't know if by now the other member, what's her name, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge would have responded. I don't know. But from what I understand from the Premier is that he got a response from Cleone Stapleton or Mrs. Cleone Stapleton, and she would have said she had no difficulty with the appointment of Mrs. Diana Claxton Whitaker. And Diana Claxton Whitaker is a lawyer by profession, decent lady, a very decent lady, married to a good friend of mine, Mr. Rodell Whitaker, and they're raising their family and living a good life. And of course, I remember when Diana was working down there at RBTT Bank. Yes, she was there as a teller at one point, and then she moved on to higher learning, and she's now a practicing attorney here on the island of Nevis. So I wish her well, and of course, persons like Diana, I expect her to carry out the mandate given to her with a lot of class and a lot of integrity. So, certainly, what has been reinforced is the fact that we are certainly on the right path in terms of good governance as a party and as a government. And it certainly reinforces, like I said, that we are committed to integrity in public life and doing the right thing in public life. And of course, we are, it's certainly the effort that we have just had recently and before reinforces our commitment to the further development of the island of Nevis. So that being said, we have done that and we've done the right thing, and we move on to other things because, of course, this island, there are many different things that have to be handled at the same time, and as such we continue and press on further with the development of the island of Nevis. Yes? Okay, good. So let me move on quickly to another matter that I need to touch, which is the medical fundraiser that we have planned for with Monday. That will be the 20th of May. So it's coming along quickly. This is now the end of April, so we have to get our forces together to move ahead with our planning to make sure that we get this executed, as we have done over the last couple of years. Last year, I believe we would have done three persons would have benefited from the returns last year. I think we were able to give out 3 different checks, $6,000 each, so $18,000 was handed out last year to Mr. Thomas Doe, Miranda Archibald, Mrs. Miranda Archibald, that is, and also Manders. I think Manders' correct name is Tesson Clark, but we call him Manders, from down there in Newcastle. So we did that last year. This year we have 2 persons who will be, raising funds to assist them with their medical challenges or medical finances. We're not going to release the names as yet, but we're still trying to organize that end. But of course, at this point in time, I want to send out the roll call to all of the folks who would have worked with us last year, all of the folks who would have contributed last year, and all of the folks who continue to, provide whatever resources are needed for this particular effort. So, I know you're out there in Brickey listening. Amoy and I have worked together on this particular event over the last couple of years. But even though we sit and we plan, both of us plan our thing, we still need the assistance of all of the other persons who would have assisted over the past. Of course, Cordelia Brown up there in Butler's. Cordelia, we need you again this year. Leonie Skeet, Chanel Skeet, Cheryl Sutton up there in Butler's. Ethelyn Doe, cousin of mine down there in Hickman. Let's see, Mrs. Pemberton down there at Eden Gardens restaurant. Is it Eden Gardens or Garden of Eden? Eden Gardens, I believe. But anyway, everybody know that little restaurant right there. Very nice restaurant next to National Caribbean Insurance building there where they are. And then, of course, Mrs. Esther Jeffers up there in Butlers. You know, she normally makes some Johnny cakes and other things. We need your help again this year, Esther. And there in Brickhill, Patricia Jeffers. Pats, your help is needed. Dahlia Maynard, Verlin Glasgow. Verlin clear this stuff them over there at customs when they come from St. Martin and the likes, So Verlin, we need your help again this year. Of course, Velma Jones come along and help out in the bar and in the food stall. June Isles and her entire team, her household would come along to give some help. Jariv and the Link Up crew, they're the ones who manage the bar, so we need your help again this year, Jariv. And so get your team together And of course, Pastor Wenford Griffin over there at the Good Taste Bakery. We need some stuff again, Pastor. I think last year you might have provided us with some bread, I'm not so sure, or you would have done something for us. Whatever you did last year, we're coming back. And you should just remind me what it was. But you played your part as well. Lisa Mills would have done some cook-up and other things, and peas and rice. Lisa Mills from Newcastle there, and her cousin, Tatiana Germain. Tatiana would have done her bit as well, cook a pot of something for us. So Tatiana, we're coming back. Renita Pemberton, use your usual link with Drift Restaurant and Luna's. You know, that's where she work. Use your usual link. We need some stew chicken, whatever you can provide. George Bottai Chapman and grandson Chuckin, they normally come on board financially and otherwise. I suppose he knows what he has to do and he'll do what he have to do. Mike Brown is normally on board with, you know, his agricultural produce, and Daniel as well. Janisha and Jamal Daniel played a role and their part in this whole thing, so I'm shouting them up and tell them get ready again. Plus we also have you know, persons down the range like May Rose, Roy, you know, Tobo. Everybody know who Tobo is. Tobo is going to play his part to make sure that he was the one who secured the area the night before the big event. So Tobo, you're the watchman, you're the security guard, whatever it is. Do your thing. And of course, Google, Kevin Warner. Well, he say he want to be called Google. So and my partner, the Monkey, and you know, Bourgeois, of course, and Vaughn Fraser. Gillian Vaughn, you did some pie last year, macaroni pie. We need those again. Aisha Douglas did a whole pot of eggs. So, you know, all these people. Joelle Wilkins, sorry, she's on the road doing her thing, trying to get some assistance. Electa Busu says she bread food, she up there full of bread food. Electa, find a way to preserve some of them bread food for me, yeah? If you'll be out of bread food, we need to make some bread food salad. So figure out your maths up there. And Zimbo, of course, provided music. DJ Lalbo. Darren plays a major part in terms of providing the system that we would use for the music, that is the speakers and mixer and all kind of things. Heinz Electrical would have chipped in last year with his generator. We're looking for that again this year. Of course, the NIA would come on in a big way when we ask for assistance. Alistair Thompson is the one who normally organizes the stage. We're coming back at you again, Alistair. Rudy got us some mutton last year. Rudy, we need some more mutton this year. I'm calling these names because I'm coming back at you in some shape or form. And of course, down in St. Martin, my good friend Ruby Wilkes would have provided us with some chicken, and my uncle there, Clarence Quayle, would have put those on the boat, send them up. So looking for those contribution as well. I'm going to call them, and anyone else down in St. Martin who can make a contribution, whether it's chicken, whether it's ribs, whether it's oxtail, salmon, whatever it is. We normally would go all out in terms of making sure we have a dish for everyone, depending on their needs or the desires, yeah? And then, of course, and in terms of music, again, we want to just thank the Odyssey Band from last year, and I'm hoping they're on board this year as well. DJ Wet that came up from St. Kitts, and this gentleman who I'm going to call his name now, he came on board in a huge way last year. Mr. Warren Bracher, you know, that place there, Bracher Center of Attraction, what do they call it there on not Church Street? Last year I had some problem remembering this street. You have Keon Street, and you have that street that connects 4th Street and Church Street, whatever it is. But that's where Warren Bracher have a place there where he sells food, drinks, and clothes, and it's like a department store and a restaurant all in one, whatever you call it, but it's his business place. So Warren Bracher, I would say to you, I'm coming back at you. I don't know what your contribution will be this year, but you would have contributed the music last year as well too, and we appreciate that. It went to a worthy cause, and we're coming back at you. That is Warren Bracher, and I want everybody to know that Warren is a Brick Hill man, yeah? He gone St. Kitts years now. He has gone over there to live here, but he has never given up on his roots. His roots are in Brick Hill. That's a Brick Hill man, and I like to say this, you know, he's a Brick Hill man. And so, Warren, we're coming back at you. We're raising some funds for persons who I need, and you normally jump on board. and we expect nothing different this year. Sorry. So yes, we are looking for saltfish, we are looking for Johnny cake, we are looking for cook up, we are looking for mutton lunch, fish lunch, oxtail lunch, baked chicken, stew chicken, fried fish, whatever you have and you want to donate, whatever you can prepare, we'll provide you with raw material as well. So all of you who have called, I've called your name. I want you back on board again this year, and if I did not call your name, I want you to call me as soon as I get off the radio station, 6625007, and as soon as you call me, I'll tell you what I want you to do. Or you can tell me what you want to do as well. So we'll do that for the 20th of May, and that will be Whit Monday. It's one of those things that we certainly enjoy doing. Okay, so later this afternoon, on to something else. Later this afternoon, we have the official launch of Culturama 50 right down there on the waterfront. But before you get to the waterfront, then we'll have a parade from uptown. How far uptown, I don't know. I think it's somewhere around the administration, the old administration building there about. But whatever it is, there'll be a parade through Charlestown down to the waterfront, and once they get down there, there'll be a little ceremony, of course, and the reveal of the senior pageant contestant, those ladies who will be going in for the Queen Show, Miss Culture Queen Show this year. Also, there is the reveal of some other contestants as well. I believe they said it's White Sand contestants, but this thing started at 5 p.m. this afternoon, and of course it culminates down there on the waterfront around the pier area. And indeed, the music that I heard that they'll have there is the Odyssey Band and also the Smolux Band. So there'll be other things on the calendar down there, but we want to go down and support this launch, because this is the start of our major summer festival, and this year it is even more important for us to show our support, because this is the 50th anniversary of Culturama. This is what you call, is this the Golden Jubilee? Yes, the Golden Jubilee. So we'll never see another 50th anniversary of Culturama again. So this one is one for the ages, one for the books. And of course, everyone who have a love for culture, a love for Nevis, a love for anything Nivision, would want to be a part of Culturama this year. Whether you want to get into a troupe, whether you want to jump up for Juve, attend the shows, go to the parties, the fete, the cultural village, go wherever. But I want to say at this point in time, I want you to come over to Hobart Beach, yeah? Because we have something in store for you over there. There are two activities we'll have for this Culturama festival. On the 31st of July, Wednesday the 31st of July, we are having our homecoming celebration over there. We did it in 2014, we did it in 2015, and then of course, we would have taken a pause. But now we're back with our homecoming for Culturama 50. And so it is intended to be a major celebration over there on that Wednesday night. Remember when I was here last time, I said if you are coming from England and you land in St. Kitts and you get over to Nevis by 5, 6 o'clock, whatever the time is, but just come straight down to Hobart Beach, because the music would have started already. And then you can stay there until whatever time. Or if you want to go home, take a shower and come back, you come back. If you're coming from St. Kitts, the water taxis are moving back and forth. Will be moving back and forth on that day. And so you can come over at any time to enjoy our homecoming session down there at Hobart Beach. And there are some big things planned for that evening. Things are activities that will include every single person who comes down there. There'll be something for everyone. So that will be the homecoming Wednesday, the 31st of July. And it will be from whatever time we start, early afternoon, going deep into the evening. Of course, then we get to the big one, the Hobart Beach Affair. I'm talking about these things because on this show, that is what this show is for, is to provide information. And anything that I am associated with, I will have to use my time to provide the information in that regard. So Hobart Beach will be on the 5th, Monday the 5th of August, That is August Monday, they call it. That will be after all of the juve and everything is done. Your journey over to Herbert Beach. We start at 12 midday, go down to 12 midnight, and then move on beyond 12 midnight into the morning on the 6th, or Tuesday the 6th of August. So it means then that you'll come there for lunch. You can get a dinner there. You can get a midnight grub, something to eat at midnight, and then of course you'll stay until morning to get your breakfast. So those persons who will have booths on that day, you understand that you have to have a kitchen at home, working overtime to get your food and get your breakfast, for example, ready to get down to Herbert Beach to serve your patrons, because we'll have music and entertainers who will be there beyond midnight going down into the morning. And also I have asked my good friend there, Basefield Nisbet, to come down early on the Tuesday morning to have some aerobics and other activities so that you can get physical, you jump in the ocean, take a swim, whatever the case might be. When you're done, you have a sumptuous breakfast that will be available to you. Just patronize the bars that are there. So we want this to be one for the ages in terms of us being there, having a good time, understanding that you have come home to be with friends and family, but also to enjoy what is being offered in terms of Culturama 50. And so that is that for Culturama, yes. And of course this afternoon, like I said, there is the C50 or Culturama 50 mini parade through Charlestown, and then it culminates on the waterfront with some activities there that goes down into the evening. So, well, for those who are not familiar with the slogan for Culturama 50, it is celebrating culture, embracing history. It is, or it's Culturama 50. So let's do that again. Celebrating culture, embracing history. It's Culturama 50. Simple as that. So history, culture, festivity, everything wrapped up in Culturama 50. And before I run along, let me just say there'll be a bar crawl tomorrow. I think they'll announce more of that this evening, but it is a trek around the entire island of Nevis. I think they start somewhere here in Charlestown, head towards Gingerland, and then come around Butlers, and then into Fountain, come down Westbury and back into Charleston, that kind of thing. So they will certainly announce that further, the persons who are responsible for that. But let's move along from that. But I want to encourage persons out there who are listening to me, who are not on the island of Nevis, not in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and you haven't been here for the last year, the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever the case might be. Man, even if you haven't come for the last 10 years, make your plans, or you should be in the midst of making your plans to come to Nevis. Come to Nevis for Culturama 50, irrespective of what you've heard being disseminated out there by from other quarters, yeah? Because not everybody have the best interest of Nevis at heart. Some are saying things for you to change your mind or decide not to come because the sky is falling in Nevis. That is what they're saying. They're saying the sky is falling in Nevis. Everything is so bad in Nevis. As a matter of fact, let me say this to you. I believe that the opposition here on Nevis, I believe that the only opposition in the world, and I'm willing to put my neck out there, the only opposition in the world have persons who would go home this afternoon, turn on their pipe, wash their hand, wash their dishes, do some cooking, man, even do some washing, do their laundry, and then take a shower, and then go on the radio or go on social media and say no water running in Nevis. You understand what I'm saying? They would go home, do everything with the water that is running in their pipe 24/7, 365 a year. They wash their hand, they do everything, take a shower, and then go on social media and say no water running in Nevis. Well, let me say to the people who are listening to me and who are listening to the good voices out of Nevis, we have our challenges just like anyone else. Sorry. We have our challenges just like anyone else. And I said to you some time ago, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, that there are challenges with climate change throughout the world. Some are getting more rain than they should, that they normally get. Some are not getting any rain at all. We have sporadic rainfall at this point in time because the weather bulletins that you read suggest so, and it says so, that there will be challenges with rainfall. And that is why we have gone about our business of seeking to drill more wells here on the island of Nevis. As a matter of fact, you would have heard from the Minister of Water, or the Minister responsible for water, the Honourable Spencer Brand, and I believe the Premier would have mentioned it, that we have just signed a contract with a company out of Trinidad who would mobilize and come and do some drilling to ensure that we can get an additional 1 million gallons of water in our system here on Nevis. So the government is doing what is necessary to ensure that we stay, on top of a situation that, that was created or is being created with the difficulties with rainfall. But being as it is, I am confident that we have the situation under control as it is. And so when you hear no water in Nevis, nothing at all go so. Yes, there have been some water rationing being done, but of course no one in Nevis, absolutely no one in Nevis, can say they're out of water for 4 days or 5 days or a week, as in some cases. Perhaps they'll be out of water at 8 p.m. in the night and it comes back by 5 in the morning. Nothing is wrong with that. That is absolutely what you have to do in order to conserve. But also, this opposition, all of them would go home, turn on their electricity, turn on their light switch. Their fridge is working. They have power 24/7, except maybe for 3 hours a day in their area when there is an outage for maintenance purposes. But the electricity on Nevis is stable. It has never been this stable ever before. Because I will tell you a story that I have been the minister responsible for electricity, and when we took over government in 2013, Lord of mercy, some old clunkers were up there at Nevlec plant. Some old clunkers that NRP paid no attention to for the 6.5 years they were in government, and we bought some brand new generators. So they're carrying the load here in Nevis, so you can go home and flick on your switch. Look here, I'm here at Von Radio and light shining down on me here, nice and good. So the place is in the best shape it has ever been. And I know under the leadership of the Honourable Mark Brantley and his team, they continue to work assiduously to make sure that Nevis continue to press on and continue to thrive as a developing island. But that's fine. I listen to them and that's okay. I hear them. But I am telling you, this is the same party that was in government, the NRP, now in opposition. When they were in government, they said they built the best housing development in the Caribbean, Cherry Garden. But you know what they did? They dig the soak away them halfway. They didn't dig a full soak away. By a couple of years, 3-4 years after we got into government, everybody over there had all kind of mess floating all over their backyard and so forth. That is what the NRP left them with. But they talk a good game, but the action don't match the talk. We talk and just what we say is what we deliver. We say what we mean and we mean what we say. As simply put, we say what we mean and we mean what we say. And that is what the CCM is all about. So I don't bother with those talks so much, because when it's all said and done, I am telling you, talk will get you thus far, but actions speak louder than words. And I've said before, if somebody tell you who they are, take them at their word. But when they show you who they are, you better believe them. And we have seen something from the NRP in opposition that tells me that they're the best place they can be. The best place they can be is in opposition, because based on what I hear, they sound angry, they sound like they want to fight somebody, and they sound like a bunch of people who really should stay far away from government. And I normally hear them say NRP best for Nevis, and I would say to you, NRP is best to keep her from here. And that's all I'm going to say with that. But here's another thing that we've always heard from them, and I don't really want to spend too much time with them, because good things are happening in Nevis. But I know for sure when the Premier gets a chance to talk, he speaks about the good things, and we've been pushing out a lot of positive things here on the island of Nevis that are happening, because I will tell you the NRP is saying that So many things are wrong with our infrastructure. You know, they'll drive on a smooth road from Cottonwood all the way to Newcastle, drive around the Island Main Road, and then go on the radio and say the road is filled with all kind of potholes. That is what they'll tell you, because they know if you're in New York or you're in England or you're somewhere in Europe somewhere and you're not on the ground, you would tend to believe them. And I say to you now, come home and see the truth. The truth is right here on the ground. You can't mistake it. Come home and you'll see exactly what your beloved island is like. One of the best in the region. We're punching above our weight here on the island of Nevis. And so when you hear them say these things, take it with a grain of salt. But listen, come home and have a look. And while you're home, try your best to seek out any opportunities for investment and otherwise, because Nevis is on the pathway to success. We're heading in the right direction here on the island of Nevis. Things are good. And so when you when you hear them talk, you just take them at their word, but come and see for yourself. And you know, I laugh, because you know, the other day they were up and down saying, "Oh, Mark Bradley is responsible for the running up the debt in Nevis, $540 million." They say Mark Bradley run up the debt, but what the NRP wouldn't tell you, right? This is what they won't tell you, is that between 1980 and 1992, you had a premier then, you know, the late Dr. Simeon Daniel. And then between 1992 to 2006, you had another premier, you know, that was the Honourable Van Samry. And then between 2006 and 2013, you had another premier, that is the Honourable Joseph Parry, he's still with us. And then between January 2013 to 2017 December, you had another premier, and that was the Honourable Van Samry once again. And then from December 2017 to now, you have the Honourable Mark Brantley. So you see how many premiers we have had? You had all those premiers who would have left debt behind. And all of a sudden, $540 million is thrown at the feet of the Honourable Mark Brantley, say he's the one who run up the debt. What could go so? And that is the type of deception that you get from the NRP party, right? And all they try to do is, one, they're full of lies, deceiving, and full of hypocrisy as well too, you know. Because if you tell people the truth, let people decide. Because if you up and down saying, "Oh, Mark Brantley run up the debt," when the truth and in fact between 2017 and now, the Honourable Mark Brantley may have added probably maybe $100+ million in debt. But you had all that debt that accumulated over the years under every single premier. That is now the debt of the island of Nevis, and they are out there. The NRP are saying Mark Brantley is responsible for that. That's the NRP saying that. How could it be so? And that is why I say, when people tell you who they are, take them at their words. When they show you who they are, you better believe them. And that's the hypocrisy that you get from the NRP. Because they very well know that debt has been accumulating on the island of Nevis over the years. But I will tell you this much: the largest portion of debt that was added to the debt stock of Nevis was done between 2006 and January of 2013. Those were the NRP years under the Honourable Joseph Parry. The largest, perhaps what it was, at an average of $126 million thereabout of debt was added. And I'm gonna get the facts right for you, but it's somewhere in that region. But that was the largest percentage of debt that was added to the debt stock of the island of Nevis during those years. And if you think that was bad, every time I think about that Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation there, yeah? I am telling you, every time I think about it and I recall the days when we took over the management of the NHLDC, and we realized that the only account that had any substantial amount of money was a fixed deposit up there at the Nevis Credit Union, the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union, of about $900,000. And I want them to dispute it any day, because not one of the remaining 8 accounts that they left behind had in anything more than about $25,000 to $26,000, almost $1 million. Where me get that from? All of them were below $50,000. Every single one of them. The only one that had $900,000 of a fixed deposit was up there at the credit union. After inheriting a corporation which had just sold 600 acres of land, gotten about $56 million cash for those lands, sold lands down there at Nugent Heights for in excess of $12 million. You add it, continue adding people. And then, of course, there was a $10 million, what do you call it now? Fixed deposit or 10 escrow account down there at the Scotia Bank. 10 million US, 27 million EC. That and all they went with. Everything. So we talk about money. We talk about the performance of a government or party in government. You have to give the CCM some credit. Plenty of credit too. And then we have things to show for our effort in government, because every time they talk about that Wally water taxi facility out there, they use it more than me. They use it more than many persons here on the island of Nevis, but they criticize it all the time. But I'm so happy to hear people in St. Kitts. I'm so happy to hear people that come from abroad speak glowingly about that facility. When they set foot on that pier and they come through that facility, when they are leaving to embark on one of those ferries to go across to St. Kitts, they speak glowingly about that facility. That is what your CCM party has done. And not only that, it is a facility that is a revenue generating investment. The government is collecting money. The boat owners, everybody out there making money. Every single person. Taxi operators. And you see, I want to say this about the taxi operators, you know. You ask them, how was their day? They don't want to tell you because they don't want you to know how much money they're making. Even they're making money. Sometimes persons out there standing up waiting for a taxi. All of the taxis are engaged. All up and down the island. Yeah? So that is something that the CCM party must be proud of, and also the people of Nevis. So we continue to press on, ladies and gentlemen. I believe I'm going to be out of time shortly, but let me just say that I believe that we as a party in government understand the assignment. We understand what the people of Nevis want us to do, create opportunities. And that is why we can speak of almost full employment here on the island of Nevis. Some people have 2 jobs, some have 3. I'm sure some might be fighting with 4. And when I say fighting with 4, it's because they have in 24 hours, but persons are capitalizing on the opportunities. On the other hand, the NRP will tell you, hear what they say, single mothers out there working 2 jobs. Well, if single mothers can work 2 jobs, let them go ahead and work the 2 jobs. What's wrong with that? I want the people to understand, stop let people fool you, because those who are talking refuse to go to work. Work is available and they refuse to go to work. All they're doing is sitting and waiting for something to happen whereby they maybe can get on the government payroll. Whereas there are opportunities out there in many areas. There are jobs available, and I will say to you that Nevis is pretty much at full employment at this point in time. The statistics will bear this out as well. I'm sure if we were to get those from the Social Security down there at Pennies. But don't let nobody fool you. Nevis is heading in the right direction. And as far as I am concerned, and as far as the majority of persons on Nevis are concerned, yes, there are challenges. Yes, there are challenges, not only from internally, but externally. Because every item that leaves the United States or Europe to come here, the price have gone up out there. Transportation costs have gone up. Production costs have gone up. Labor costs have gone up. Everything have gone up. So if that is the case, then it means that the cost of the good would go up as well too. So when it gets here, obviously, it will be at a higher price than what it probably was before. But these things add to the cost of living, I'm sure. But the government is continuing. And that is why during this Culturama 50, there is some incentive packages being offered to homeowners and the like. So take advantage. Take advantage of what is available to you. Take advantage of everything that is available to you, because if you don't, someone else will. And they will have their savings accordingly. But ladies and gentlemen, it's just a few seconds before we close. Let me go into the wrap-up phase now. Sometimes we get fun, but the fun starts just before 1 o'clock sometimes. But that's the case, and that's what it is. I want to thank you for listening. It was indeed my pleasure being here. And indeed, it is my pleasure to come every Friday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. And so, I say to you, have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourself. If you go to church, make sure you attend church on Sunday. May God continue to bless you. May God continue to bless the island of Nevis. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
Views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.
You're listening to Vaughn Radio from the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis.
The afternoon time has moved on to 2 o'clock.
With all the power from the tower, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.